What's up, everybody? It's Man of Low Moral Fiber here. My name's Luke, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Pandemic as a part of my Does It Suck series. The Pandemic is a legendary Vladof grenade in corrosive element. There are a couple other legendary Vladof grenades that I'm sure a lot of you know about, namely the Stormfront and the Pervy. Now, if we compare the stats on the card on these, we can see that they all have the same grenade damage, they all have the same blast radius, and in this case, they all have the same fuse time and delivery system as well, being longbow. The damage over time on these three grenades is slightly varied, with the Pervy being the lowest, then the Pandemic, and then the Stormfront being a little bit higher than the other two. However, we hear quite a bit about the Stormfront and see it used all the time by many different characters in many different situations, and sometimes we see the Pervy used. I do believe that this grenade is a little bit underrated, and perhaps we'll look at it in a future video, but you never really hear much at all about the Pandemic. And when you do hear something about the Pandemic, it's usually in relation to its ineffectiveness. So let's go ahead and see how the Pandemic might do here in the Washburn Refinery. What's interesting to note is that this will truly be the first time that I've tried to use the Pandemic, legitimately, as an actual weapon. I've found the weapon a couple times from Mortar, some of the time when playing Melee Zero, in fact, to where I needed to wear a specific shot grenade in order to kind of, strip my shield and such. And so when I'd get the Pandemic or another grenade, I just wouldn't really pay them too much attention because I was concentrated on, obviously, stripping my shield with my grenade and stuff. And we can see there that I did throw 3 grenades, but it seemed to take out those 2 guys pretty easily. We didn't have the turret to distract them. I did just slag them there with my Pimpernel, but then they all died fairly quickly and stuff. And this is one of those grenades that I would feel, much like the Pervy, would be so much better if we could carry 2 grenades, a Quasar and then this. So it seems to work kind of in the same way the Stormfront does. You might see that little parent grenade there at this junk loader's feet, and then it's shooting out little grenade balls. And so when the Pervy shoots, it shoots out, that same little parent grenade, and then it shoots fire everywhere, and they spin around and stuff like that. And the Stormfront, it creates all these shock waves. You've seen them all interact. I don't want to waste my grenades here, but this one's a little bit different. It seems to pop out small little corrosive grenade balls, and then those actively seek out an enemy and attack them. So you can really kind of engage or halfway damage a majority of enemies in a room if you use this just kind of non-discriminately and just kind of throw it in there. But right now it seems that the grenade is doing very well. Maybe since we caught that fire damage over time, the Big Boom Blaster will be nice to us and bless us with some more grenades, but who knows. We are wearing a Grenadier comm to increase our grenade damage. It's weird to see those some of the child grenades go where we didn't want them, but some of them curve back in on the enemy and kill him like that. That's kind of interesting. It works kind of in the same fashion as a Malawan transfusion in that respect. Obviously, you throw the actual grenade and then some child grenades spit out and actually home in on the enemies after that. So that's kind of interesting, that it works kind of like a transfusion grenade does homing-wise and stuff. And I think that's probably how homing grenades should work. You should be able to throw them until they make contact with something, and then they should actually home in on their target instead of being shit from the very moment you release them like the majority of homing grenades are. I was kind of hoping that we would be able to get some Big Boom Blaster from the damage over time there to recoup our grenade stash a little bit, but that didn't quite work out. Either way, we're getting ready to kill this badass loader down here, so I'm going to put my turret out, and then I'm going to try to wake this guy up and slag him at the same time with the Pimpernel, and then I'm going to throw, I guess 4 grenades, and wow, his health is quickly going down with those 4 grenades there. That looks like that was definitely enough to kill him, so that's interesting, definitely. So we can see that he did drop 1 grenade for us. I do want to open all 4 of these boxes back here to try to get as many grenades as we can going forward. Obviously, I've shot the Herald like a couple times, and I've shot the Pimpernel a few times, obviously, but beyond that, we've used very little gun ammo, so the game should be fairly generous with its grenade drops at this point in time. So hopefully we'll have enough grenades, going into the next areas to continue to work through this so far. If I was to make an early call as to whether or not this weapon sucked, it would be a no for me at this point. I mean, it seems to be performing admirably in my mind. It does everything I need it to do in this situation, which is kill loaders. And obviously the Pervy isn't super effective against loaders, and obviously the pandemic would be really bad against, human enemies as well, flesh enemies. So the pandemic is definitely something that has, a unique use scenario. I really messed that up there by throwing one in the wrong spot, and then I kind of just wasted 2 grenades there because he was going to die to that second one I threw. So the first one was wasted, and the third one was wasted, so that was a really bad move on my part. Hopefully the Big Boom Blaster, it's not interacting well with the damage over time today. Sometimes it'll kick out several boosters during a corrosive damage over time sequence, but perhaps since I think because the damage comes from me, we're not going to see that. Anytime I deal corrosive damage to myself, we're not going to get any Big Boom Blasters. So that's a shame. I understand why they made the Big Boom Blaster do that, but, for the most part, rocket launchers are much more devastating than grenades. And, there's a much more cheaterish way to get more rocket ammo from a shield than, say, the Big Boom Blaster. Which really isn't that game-breaking in my mind. But it's weird that they mitigated the effectiveness of the Big Boom Blaster's potential by not letting you gain your own that way, but didn't decide to do that for, the sham and rocket absorption. But who cares? These guys, I was just killing them because I was low on health. Just wanted to finish them off here, while I had some time. Obviously, I'm not going to waste my very limited grenade count on these little exploders just because they're going to kill themselves or die quickly anyway. Ooh, so the gun loaders are here and stuff now, so that'll be something for us to watch out for. Not that particular exploder, though, because it will probably go kill itself on my turret or something else. Who knows? Alright, so I'm almost dead here, so I gotta back up. The turret and the pandemic grenade should be able to kill things at long range. Some people think that, Axton needs like a long-ranged explosive weapon or something like that. I feel like grenades could work fine as a long-range explosive weapon, to be completely honest. A lot of times grenades work just fine for that task, and people say that that's justification for weapons like the Seeker or the the Cobra. And that is definitely not justification for the Seeker or the Cobra. The Seeker and Cobra are terrible. I'm going to wait until my turret gets back here. I just don't see any reason in charging ahead without it. The badass loader is pretty damn tough. Dang it, I hate that. That's just like when I throw a grenade and it gets blocked by nothing. But there, as you can see, his rockets at least get blocked by nothing as well. It's just so aggravating to see something fly into nothing and then stick there or explode there or whatever. So now that this guy appears to be stopped, I'm going to throw 1, 2, 3 grenades, and we'll see how that does against him. Again, we can see the child grenades on the floor, so we definitely need a 4th and maybe a 5th grenade here in this situation. This definitely didn't do as good as the first badass loader we faced by any stretch of the imagination. So that's a little bit weird. Being that I'm out of grenades now, we're going to need to figure something out. We'll throw 1 more at him. That should kill him. Okay. So we didn't do that well against him, which is bad news. It definitely seems like if you throw it directly at an enemy and actually hit them square in, the body or hitbox, whatever, that you seem to do a little bit more damage because obviously the grenade impact itself does have a significant amount of damage there. So I'm going to try to actually put that on enemies as we go forward. This is the first time that I've used this weapon, so we'll see. It worries me a little bit that it did so pathetically against that badass loader there, but who knows? Maybe that was just, kind of coincidentally bad. Who knows? It seems to be doing well against these guys. It killed the hot loader, and it's almost killed this junk loader. It probably would have killed him over time. Perhaps those will go seek out this junk loader, and so they won't all go to waste. Who knows? So this is one of those deals where if an enemy moves too much or doesn't cooperate, the weapon doesn't perform as well. And that can be seen in several guns as well. It's not something that is limited to grenades by any stretch of the imagination. However, we've used grenades as our primary damage source thus far, and we've been making it a good portion of the way through the Washburn Refinery up until this point, so we're going to try to continue that. I want to drag enemies, or at least get enemies here in the main area, I would say, or you know, the less crowded or railed in area, just because I think that that will benefit us in some way. But who knows? Just going to get that guy's shield down, or these two guys' shields down, because I don't want the pandemic to have its damage wasted. You know what I mean? So it's definitely possible for one grenade to kill an enemy and then deal a significant amount of damage to another enemy as well. And so what we're seeing here, it seems that, you know, the pandemic is pretty damn effective, to be honest. But we've seen it where it was fairly ineffective as well recently. So those are interesting things for us to note. Being that I am low on grenades and out of turret at this point, I'm going to grab some grenades here. The game was extremely generous there and put me at 9 grenades. That actually worked out really, really well. So I'm going to throw like 2 or 3 grenades in here. Hopefully it kills that hot loader. And wow, it also killed that power loader. So that was pretty cool. Let's make sure his shield's down. There's a big boom blaster out there, so that'll be a grenade for us. And he might have dropped one too, I don't know. But, you know, we can get up to a few more grenades here. Some grenades up there as well. Ooh, and we needed that. So something has a fairly accurate and powerful weapon. I hear like a Torg assault rifle basically, and now I found the dude who has that. Let's try to draw these guys into the middle, just because I feel as if that is a position where the big boom blaster, or excuse me, the pandemic has a much better chance to operate. The big boom blaster is operating well right now though. But now that these two dudes are close together and they're in that area where I think the child grenades will have a much easier time finding their targets, the pandemic does very well. There seems to be certain terrain where it doesn't do that well as well. So, you know, those are things to keep in mind with this weapon. So far, though, the grenade is not as described by some as an unmitigatable failure. The grenade is actually quite powerful, but does have some unique usage caveats and such. So far in this particular run, obviously I've been playing fairly conservatively, but you can see how well this lets me play kind of a guerrilla Axton, if you will. One who hits and runs, one who relies on, you know, tactics that aren't necessarily fair or nice to the enemy, I guess you would say. And that's definitely the case here. I realized that the corrosive grenade was going to kill me there as soon as I threw it up in the air, and so that was my mistake. Let's see if we can't get this guy killed up here. Get a second win, perhaps. I'm just going to throw all 4 of them. You know, obviously there is an ammo machine up there, so it'll get us back up. What's dumb is that I threw it right there thinking that it wouldn't kill me even though I was super low on health. That was my mistake, and I feel foolish for it, but as you can see, even not being able to see an enemy, the pandemic was able to kill something that I don't think was ever slagged. I tried to shoot my Pimpernel up at it, but in reality, I don't think that it ever truly got slagged. So we'll move forward now. You know, it is worth noting that even if you're being careful with grenades, it's definitely still possible to kill yourself with them. They are tough. Now, I don't know if the grenades came in here and actively killed that gunloader as well, but it does seem like there should be a gunloader back there, and I can't find either the gunloader or the power loader's corpse, which is a little bit strange to me. I'm not exactly sure how all of the events played out, but we're going to fight Pervy and his friends now. And I think that in that little corner, we're going to see some fairly impressive stuff from the pandemic grenade, but I can't be entirely certain on that. This weapon would be really great if we could, you know, have 2 grenades, have a Quasar and this. And I think that that is definitely the case with both of the other legendary Vladof grenades, the Stormfront and Firebee as well. It would be incredible if you were able to Quasar enemies together with that, singularity that it has, and then really go to town with these Vladof Exterminator grenades, as they're called by the part titles, I think. So we'll definitely try to throw a few of these out there right now because I'm super low on health, so that's something for us to keep in mind. Plus, I have unlimited grenade ammo at this point, so we might as well, throw a little bit of it. Definitely would have helped if Pervy was slagged, though. Anywho, let's see how many we can throw in here and how quickly Pervy dies. Okay, so Pervy's dead after like 4 grenades there, and it really didn't take that many. So that's kind of cool. Once the green cloud of death has dissipated, I'll move forward. I'll toss my turret right there, and we'll get ready to kill this guy who's almost dead back here already. Keep in mind this is against the 4-player health scaled enemies now, and that's something to keep in mind, I guess, because, you know, the grenades obviously have a lot more work to do against these guys. It's just, you know, a very powerful grenade. It's, you know, only going to be good against corrosive, and there are some, or against, you know, armored enemies, and there are some armored enemies that actually resist grenade damage, so it might not be a great option against them, obviously, and perhaps that's why some people think that this might not be great, is because, you know, of the large number of armored enemies that happen to resist grenade damage. So, I don't know. And maybe people aren't giving it, you know, its proper boost with like a Grenadier Comm or a Bone of the Ancients, you know, to boost its damage and such. What I am noticing, though, is that the Pandemic seems to be plenty powerful enough for what I need it to do. And I would say that that is definitely the case. And as a result of that, I would say that the Pandemic doesn't suck as far as corrosive grenades go that can kill loaders. I mean, sure, it would be a lot easier just to use this. No one's going to deny that. We could just use the fastball and straight up, you know, murk things with it. But, you know, some people might not have a fastball, especially in corrosive, and some people might want to play in such a way that the Pandemic really benefits them. You know, kind of a hit-and-run type player like I was talking about, a guerrilla tactics accident. So, I don't know. The Pandemic is definitely not the unmitigatable failure as which it is sometimes described. It's a plenty potent grenade. I don't think it is Fire B or Stormfront tier, but at the same time, it's also not Rolling Thunder tier. It's definitely a pretty solid grenade that I would say is above median as far as, you know, corrosive grenades go. We'll be looking at some other grenades as we progress forward here in the Does It Suck series, and, you know, hopefully we'll find out some interesting things about them. As always, guys, I thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you haven't yet taken the time to subscribe, please do so. I'd appreciate that as well. One interesting thing to note is that, my friends had recently thrown Stormfronts inside of an ion loader's orb or shield, and I wonder, you know, with this being a similar grenade, if you could get the Pandemic inside of an ion loader's shield, and if you could create Super Pandemic in that way. I don't know. These are all things we could test in the future. So, as far as this video goes, though, we have reached the conclusion. So, as always, thanks for watching, guys, and I do hope to catch you next time.